Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here at Texas Motor Speedway for the 12th race of the season for the NRSL ASICS Republic of Gamers Truck Series. We're getting down to the wire, and it's time to get amping up the pressure even more. And joining me in the booth for the first time ever on this channel is Mr. NNSCRA. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
So, when we come to a track like Texas, especially since they changed how turns 1 and 2 are, you can see it there. Um, kind of makes it more even there on the high side in those corners versus 3 and 4. What kind of things should these Truck Series drivers be looking at, especially with the importance of getting the right draft?
Well, yeah, you bring up that they've changed the configuration of turns one and two, especially turn one went from 24 degrees down to 20 degrees of banking, which means you can't carry quite as much speed into the corner as normally these drivers would do. So you have to kind of adjust for that, make sure that your truck doesn't wash up the racetrack, otherwise you're going to lose positions. But it also does bring in other kind of entry into the corner for drivers that might want to use that high line. You're able to kind of enter wide, drive it a little bit down lower than you'd expect, be able to get a nice run off the corners. So I think that the turns one and two configuration definitely allows drivers, if they've got their truck set up for the high side, to be able to make some passes. But you also alluded to that being as big a track as it is, it relies on speed, and speed a lot of time relies on the draft. So if you're going to make those moves work on the high side, you're probably going to have someone behind you.
Indeed, a draft can be huge. It was huge last week at Papyrus, especially when it was tough to get into fourth gear on the long straightaways. That really became a huge thing, and that's what helped Fitzwater win last week. Was after coming off that last corner there, he was still in third. Sanford was in fourth, and that's what got Fitzwater the win. Now to our starting lineup today for the second week in the row. It's going to be Bristol Dirt winner Jonathan Sorlin on the pole, and next to him is Cole Deaver, who I believe still sits second in the points. No, actually, he fell down to third. He is 15 points behind points leader Zach Rogers. We'll get to those guys in a moment. The rest of the top 10, we've got Keith Rich, a Truck Series regular, starting third, and Vince Almarego in fourth. Row three are the Young brothers, Sam Young, who finished dead last week, needs to have a good run today if he wants to get back into the conversation with two-time winner brother Dylan Young, starting in sixth. Row four, we've got James Ellison, who's currently somewhere in the middle of the point standings, still has a shot. He's just got to get some good runs going. Baran Oscas, who won at Denver on that insane fuel strategy call, where she was the only one who had to pit once, starts eighth. And in row five, we've got Emmanuel Hartnett and James Qualls, two other drivers who are in the points picture now. We'll go to Zach Rogers and see where he starts. A little far back, but on the bottom next to Jessica Shelton, who had a bad race last week as well. Also top 10 in the points. She sits ninth now. So the top 10 are all in points range right now coming into this race. Who do you think needs to have a good run or has the best chance from where they're starting to have a good run?
Texas is one of those unusual speedways where you'd expect drivers that are starting up at the front to stay up at the front, but Texas always kind of reminds me of a mile and a half super speedway because a lot of times you'll have drivers that start on that inside line, work their way up to the front, then some will drop back from the high side, get to the bottom, work their way to the front. So we end up having waves kind of like we have at super speedways. But I mean, you bring up the point that Jonathan Zorlin's got another good qualifying result here, but he did not run well last week at Papyrus. He dropped 7 spots in the standings. So I think that this week, another good qualifying result. He needs to capitalize on the track position. So I'm looking at that 42, maybe starting on the pole to maybe try and stay up at the front for all this race if he can.
Indeed, command was given while we were going over that. I'm going to try and see if I can find the rest of the top 10 in points before we go green, starting with the 8 of Sanford, who came so close to that second win. He's a bit back here. He's right next to Fitzwater on, I don't know which road this is, behind McIntyre. Let's see, I see Johnny Gardner there in the 51 truck, a little ways back. We saw Qualls. Let's see, Dylan we saw. Philip Goldberg's right there. He is 11th in the standings, I believe. Let's see. I think there's some up here. We saw Hartnett. We saw Deaver. Charles Jackson's the other one to look at. He's back here on the bottom. So we'll see how Charles can do. He had a dead last starting position last week, which was one of the better stalls for Papyrus, but he was only able to get up to about 25th because of an incident. Green flag is out. We're underway at Texas.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but going over there into turn one, there's about 4 lanes in turns 1 and 2. This is a very wide speedway, so a lot of room. So I'm expecting to see these guys race hard, but I think they're going to have enough room to be able to race cleans. So I'm expecting with 67 laps on tap today, we could see this race very much so turn into a fuel strategy race and have some green flag pit stops.
Indeed, as in the Cup races in 2018 Mountain Dew Cup, we saw the first race, which was 101 laps, go green flag. A lot of drivers chose to pit 3 times, but the winner stretched it on gas. And then in the fall race, we saw everyone pit 3 times, and the winner ended up pulling away. Now, I'm expecting these guys to be pretty much flat out every time here in 3 and 4 until the tires wear, as Sam Young, wasting no time after finishing last week, is going to make it 3 wide here, coming to lap 3.
You saw right there out of turn 4, that's going to be the most difficult spot for drivers to give room because you have that big spacious turn 4 and all of a sudden it turns into 2 lanes off the corner onto the D-shaped front straightaway. So that's maybe the tightest corner here at Texas. And if trouble breaks out, that's probably where it's going to be because the room that you get, that spacious turn 4, all of a sudden it goes from 4 lanes down to 2.
And those guys up top, you see Deaver had to kind of lift a little bit there. So being up top 3 wide, especially once the tires get worn, I mean, the Cup cars have a lot more power. They were lifting a lot more coming off the top of 4. But we see Deaver now kind of faltering back. They're about 3 wide there. I believe that's Philip Goldberg on the bottom there.
I think you're right.
And it's Tony Green. And that was Nate Rogers on his outside. And now Rogers falls back, but he's 3 wide. It's Charles Jackson there. And I think that was Deaver we saw check up big time off the corner.
Everybody on that high line had to check up because Deaver almost scraped the wall off of 4. Huge lift for Deaver caused the entire outside line to lose some spots.
He's gaining some back here. The bottom line are just so trained up right now. He's got a little space in front of him. He's going to gain some of that back, but 3 and 4 are really not the top line to be at.
I know that you know this as well because you and I have experienced before. People probably wondering why is that high line able to hold, steady with the inside line. That inside line has to check up because you get such a big run on the bottom, you almost run into the back of the truck in front of you, and that allows drivers on the outside line who have a little bit more room to work with to be flat out.
And we're seeing it again here as Deaver's trying to pull in front of Jeff Bright, but it looks like the rookie Ellison might be holding that top line up a bit. See Dylan Young there in the 29 in front of Deaver. We've talked about the top 10 being in the points battle. As I've mentioned most of the season, first place gets 52 points, second 48, third 45, fourth 42, and then 40 for fifth, and then 1 point down. So getting a top 4 is really valuable, especially when you get 1 more position than fourth. You're going 3 more points, another 3 points. You win the race, another 4. You lead lap, that's 1 point. You lead the most, that's another lap. Right now, Sorlin has been untouchable. He's led all 6 now, 7 laps.
Yeah, he's pulled away. And I also noticed, too, we're talking about Deaver third in points, a driver that started outside. Oh, I guess we got a caution.
Yes, we do. Let's see what it's for. Check the standings here. Not entirely sure what happened. I'm not seeing anyone having spun out. It might be a phantom for all I know.
Might have been somebody got out of shape and somehow saved it, but sometimes... Oh, never mind.
It looks like it might have been Sam at Oskin. We'll have to take a look at the replay, but I was expecting a green flag race. The Cup drivers managed to do that twice in 2018, but knowing how draft dependent and how much crazy racing we were seeing, I'm not caught off guard by the slightest. It might have had something to do with the 13 But it looks like it might have been after the line because Austin beat the 13 to the start-finish line. So perhaps the spin through the grass for the 93, but we'll have to take a look to be sure. So we'll take a step aside and we'll show you the caution. Just a little bit of 3 wide gone wrong. Break it down for us, Mr. NNSCRA.
You got Samet Oskan down there on the bottom, and I thought the top line off turn 4 would be the one that would cause problems, but E3 never turned off the corner, just went straight, crowds up there 3 wide. And the fortunate thing that we were looking at here was the fact that the 93 goes up against the wall, parallel with the wall, which is why everybody was able to get by here on the inside, because D-shaped front straightaways are one of the toughest places to avoid a wreck. And so the fact that everyone was able to get around this and we were able to get away with relatively a 2-truck incident was actually really an amazing thing.
And you've got to note that when you go to a track like Texas or Atlanta, if Oskin's truck had spun more violently, he could have propelled straight back out into traffic. Instead, he was kind of right against the wall and kind of just slid, and the truck came around right at the curve. And then it looked like Muhammad kind of pushed his truck straight again instead of letting it bounce straight down the track, and that saved some guys at the back, especially Zach Rogers, who was not having a good day coming in as the points leader. But we'll see what the pit stops brought us. I'm pretty sure everyone went down, and we'll go back racing with probably about 50 something to go. All right, we're coming to the green flag. There were multiple incidents on pit road. Sam Young is your leader after pit stops. No one's retired. Manuel Hartnett, John Nunn, and RJ Reynolds all got held up. Hartnett's going to take the big hit there, but Sorlin with a great restart.
Yeah, those guys that you mentioned held up there on pit road, they're probably going to lose 2, maybe 3 laps after incidents on pit road. And wow, well, Sam Young had the lead, but Jonathan Zorlin says, nope, I've spent most of the early portion of this race out in front. I want to keep being out in front.
Oh, right. Hartnett and Reynolds are coming out of pit road right as the leaders restarted. Goodness. That's going to open up the door for Mike Turner.
Place. Time we've seen the 33 up here at the front, and actually also you've got the 15 right there up in this hunt as well.
That's James Qualls we talked about coming in top 10 in points. To see Sorlin, oh, he's trying to hold off. He's got help.
It's got Sam Young up there helping him, and I think that's going to help him be able to clear the high side off turn 2.
And he does. Ace Rogers, Jeff Wright are approaching. Those 2 trucks, I saw Oskin coming out of pit road right as they restarted into 1. I saw Reynolds, but I didn't notice Hartnett. Hartnett's going to merge in there in the back.
And I remember the 05 and the 68, they are off the lead lap, but the only reason they are is because of incidents on pit road, having to they got glitched into their pit stalls. They are up to speed, so they can still play a factor in helping this second group. Even though I think Reynolds is actually up ahead of this group.
No, he's actually right there on the inside of the 68. He's right in front of
Beaver.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was thinking that was up ahead then. My bad. Really, top of this pack, and yeah, I think he might have actually been holding up those guys a little bit, because Sanford was losing some spots trapped behind him. Now Sanford's gonna go up the middle 3 wide and bypass him.
Indeed, Hartnett got his first career win while we're on him back at Pocono. And what was a pretty chaotic race, and he really slowed up there.
Tight. Yikes. That was Charles Jackson going up the middle.
And Jessica Shelton held up. He's trying to rebound from a bad week. Finished 33rd after being involved in a lap 3 incident at Papyrus, and it was a no caution flag affair. So anyone involved in that wreck really got held up.
Looking towards the back here, and we saw that before that caution came out, Zach Rogers, the points leader, was not having a good performance. You can see he's there on the bottom ground. But drivers that are trying to run him down for the points lead, Charles Sanford and Cole Deaver, are both quite a ways ahead. But I think maybe this caution might have been a little bit of a help for Rogers, because maybe that truck wasn't handling quite the way he liked. They were able to come down pit road, maybe make some adjustments. We'll see if he can make any forward progress.
Yeah, right now getting put up top by cousin Nate. So see, we'll go back to the front. Jonathan Zorlin still leads. He's got Mike.
Allen's got a strong truck. I mean, he lost the race lead off of pit road to Sam Young, but immediately took it back. Now we're going to see if he's going to be able to hold off that 33 because
Right
good
now,
restart as well. And
right now
he's on his
getting
back
grabbed.
bumper. Oh, traffic.
And John Nunn, who also came out. It's going to be some draft for Sorlin, but it's going to help Turner even more. You see Sorlin kind of moving to the bottom, and there's another yellow.
Little flag out again. Second time here today.
Think
Which surprises me
everyone
here because
took it.
the field got a little bit more spread out.
I don't think everyone took it because these top three are still racing. It looks like 12th on back did take the yellow, so these guys are still racing. And Turner's gonna try and take the lead here, coming to the line.
Ooh, needs Qualls to be with him.
More smoke on the front straightaway. That's gonna
Says to me maybe
save.
something towards the rear of the field again because we had crossed the line before the caution came out. I think we probably had something close to the rear of the field.
Indeed, John Nunn got saved there. He will be the only truck a lap down. And it looks like Gatlin Downey was involved.
Yep.
He's very slow. James Ellison, we were talking about, needed a good run. Johnny Gardner, your 2018 Cup champion.
Wow, that's big. That's a driver top 5 in points. 4th.
And a track where you needed to have a good run. That appears to be it. It may be just a 3-truck incident, so it looked like it was coming out of 4 again, so we'll take a look and see what happened. All right, and here we are, coming off of turn 4 again. Seth, what do you see?
Same situation in the first wreck, except this time it's Gardner that gets tight off the corner. His car doesn't turn. Gets into the left rear corner of Jessica Shelton. There you see Ellison gets clipped. Maybe a little contact for the right rear on the 17 of Turpin. And this is where we see typical Texas front straightaway. Nowhere for some of these guys to go.
We see Downey gets spun, Cooley gets into Rowe. Nate gets into Gardner, and that hooks.
Oh.
Wow, look at that. That's about 3
That's
tires.
a hard hit for Johnny Gardner. Team back there as well, getting involved, and
I saw the 3
he was at the rear of the field damage. Connor.
I saw the 3 truck behind these guys as this happened, so I think we're gonna have to take it on board. But I think we basically saw that there. 98 looked like checked up, and Gardner was just coming off the corner. But a lot more trucks involved this time by. But let's take it on board with the 3 truck. On board with the 3 of Zach Rogers. Man, can you
Part the waters.
Part the waters indeed. Let's get you to your race restart. Getting ready to go back. Green will have 44 laps of racing left, so these guys still got to pit again. Everyone came down in the caution. We've got lap traffic, so this will make things very, very interesting. The 93 did get a lot of damage in that first caution, so he might hold up the bottom here. Anyway, Sorlin's still the leader. Qualls is up to 2nd. Philip Goldberg's now up to 3rd. Might have seen some people take 2 tires only here because there's a lot of people up here now that weren't. Deaver 4th, Young 5th. Baran Oscus is 6th. Danny Jones, Keith Rich, Fitzwater, and Ace Rogers. Mike Turner fell down to 15th. 20 of James Ellison has retired.
Also got the 23 of Turner sitting on pit road, at least at the moment. Had an incident on pit road under that last round of pit stops.
Go to spectator camera. We'll see if we can see him. Not sure if he was coming out or not. Gardner is really slow from what I saw. Yeah, he's, wow. There are a lot of trucks really slow. Look at that. And the 45 is really holding up the bottom.
The 54, though, Philip Goldberg. Oh, I thought he might be thinking about peeking out 3 wide there. Now he is going to get to the inside of Oscon, but I thought he might try and go for 2nd on Qualls using the 93 as a pick.
And Goldberg, the defending champion, coming in tonight. 11th in points. Has not won yet. He came very close at North Wilkesboro, and arguably had the truck, had a good shot at the Motordrome, but he couldn't get it done, and Deaver's going to make that move for third place.
So far I've looked too, and we're going to have a bit of a point shakeup here after Texas. 2 cautions, and so far some pretty notable names involved in those wrecks. We already documented Gardner 4th in points, Hartnett 7th in points, Jessica Shelton involved in that last caution 9th in points. So we could see some drivers pop up into the top 10, and a couple of them running well, Goldberg being one of them, currently up in the top 5.
When we talk about people maybe taking the lead, especially with Deaver up here now, and Sanford's making a 3-wide move.
Yeah, we got 8 Rogers in the middle, putting Bernascus up on the top. Can't quite get to left rear quarter panel on Rogers, though. Gonna have to tuck back in line.
And we got to think that 3 wide is kind of dangerous now, considering off of 4 it's caused both our caution flags. Now, Downey
We've
was...
seen both sides of the spectrum, too. We've seen a car on the inside of a 3 wide off 4 cause a wreck, and a car on the outside of a 3 wide cause a wreck. So, yeah, turn 4, 3 wide, doesn't seem to be good.
And I have a bad feeling that this truck should probably not be out on track. He is 6 seconds off pace. We saw him hold up a lot of people on the bottom. Jesse Turner is back out on track. Gardner is also off pace, only about 2 seconds though. But Downey is very slow. And it did not hurt.
Downey, I'm surprised is even out there at all. I would have thought the radiator would be gone because Downey ran to the back of Sekuli in that last wreck. I'm really actually surprised Johnny Gardner isn't more off the pace than he is after that hard hit nose first into the safer barrier he took.
Indeed, and this is tricky to notice here. Even behind a truck with no hood, Zach Rogers having some problems.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if maybe he might have had something happen on pit road, because this is not the speed I was expecting to see out of him. This is the speed of a car that got involved in a wreck or has some damage. I mean, look at how Hill kind of getting a run there on the high side, hoodless and all.
Not having any trucks to get draft off of. You can see Turpin's all the way up here. So Rogers barely missed the last caution, and I think he's going to want another one, but he's going to want to make sure he uses his brake pedals. I'm surprised Shelton's doing so much better than him right now, as is the 13 of Mohammed Connor.
Emmanuel Hartnett also seems to be a little bit more up to speed than what we saw before, so yeah, maybe a little bit more damage repair done to that 0.5. And, to make matters worse for Zach Rogers, not only is he running back here, but his competition, we mentioned Deaver, Stanford, they're up towards the front of the field. So a lot of points being made up on the points leader so far in this race.
Indeed. I was trying to see anyone else up there in the points is back here. There's Downey. Downey already got caught. We missed the fun with that.
Far they've gotten around him relatively clean. Split him 3 wide. Coming to turn 4. Not a good idea.
He's lucky that's 2 wide. It's going to really hurt Reynolds. He's already 2 down as is. You see everyone's just flying by. That truck should really not be on the track. There's Charles Jackson, 19th. Behind Mendez. Goldberg I see up here, kind of right outside top 10. Well, that actually really bunched these guys up now. Danny Jones is going for second.
Another car that's up here too that we haven't talked about. How about the 29 of Dylan Young, who comes into this race the only multi-time winner so far this season, 6th in points. He's making his presence felt up in the top 10 now.
And he could be a real threat to these guys. If these guys see Dylan Young win a 3rd race, it's really not going to help their confidence levels. It might make Dylan a little egotistical though if he does win a 3rd race and no one else has won too.
Not only that, but when you've got multiple wins, you've got options too. I mean, I think we're closing in on the longest green flag run so far today, as we've had 2 yellow flags so far. But these guys might have to start thinking about green flag pit stops. And you talk about gamblers a lot of times. This could be a team that might go outside the spectrum, do something a little bit different, knowing they have 2 wins in the bank.
And you've also got to think now that we've gone, I think 12 laps, which will eclipse our longest run. Actually, I think the first 2 runs were under 10 laps. You've got to think what tire fall off we haven't seen today, because once you get to a certain point, you're really going to see comers and goers, even though we're at a track where they're going to be flat out in 3 and 4. They're not flat out in 1 and 2. And that's where things are going to get really interesting. We're seeing Deaver and Young with a heated battle for third here.
Going back to your point, I think that might be a little bit of a reason of why we saw the wrecks over in turn 4 that we've seen so far. We had Smet Ozcon, it looked like his truck never turned. We had Johnny Gardner, it looked like his truck didn't turn. Especially in 1 and 2, I know that the tire compound is very hard on that right front. And with that right front wearing down, the tire heat building up, it's very tough to turn the truck. And that might have been a little bit of a reason of why we had those 2 cautions early on.
Young looks like he's going to be able to clear Deaver here into 3.
He's doing it with Ace Rogers about maybe 2 truck lengths behind him. That's not really what you'd consider a draft. So Dylan Young basically made the pass on Cole Deaver by himself.
And now Deaver will clear and most likely use the bottom line here. Oh, and Ace Rogers just blew up!
Oh my goodness, right in front of Charles Sanford. How he didn't get run over, I don't know, but that's going to hold up.
Oh, and I reckon Jonathan Wong's around.
That's going to be a big hit for the 94.
And it looks like Bishop might have blown up too, unless that was from contact.
He ran into the 94, I'm not certain.
But can we talk about benefiting the points leader? Everyone's going to pit here. Everyone's going to be good on gas and tires, so I really don't think anyone's going to try just doing 2 tires, but Sorlin will once again have to fend off pit road. But Ace Rogers blowing an engine out of nowhere. Last time that happened was all the way back at Rockingham. Levi McIntyre blew up and stopped right at the exit of turn 2. And there was calamity, and we see it again here.
To be honest, I'm amazed we didn't have more of a stack up than we did there out of turn 2. Great awareness by Charles Sanford and everybody else on that inside line not to run over Ace Rogers, but that's not only going to hurt Jonathan Wong here today, but also in the points. He had a chance of maybe moving up into the top 10, 13th in the standings coming in this race, and I don't think he's going to reach the conclusion of this event. He's sitting on pit road.
Yep, so we'll take a look at what happened there behind them, but we know that Ace Rogers blew a motor in front of the field. Alright, so here we are with Jonathan Wong. We're watching from him because he was the first one I saw go up the track spinning. We'll see.
Keep in mind, he's in a group that's about maybe 10 car lengths behind the pack that Ace Rogers was in.
There's the black smoke. There's the bottom line that's checking up. You see Almarego moving up high. Tony Green, McIntyre, but Wong doesn't, and he just can't stop in time.
Yeah, he does. I don't know if he's on the brakes or not, but that thing never slowed up, and he runs into the back of the 52 of Lund.
Look at Hartnett barely making it by. Oh, bad angle.
Oh, and nowhere for. Oh, wow.
Let's take a quick rewind there.
Nowhere for RJ Bishop to go.
Let's see what he does here. He was gonna go high, and it was like, oh nope, wrong idea. And yeah.
Take a line and hope the truck's not there, and that was not the case.
Isaac Flickinger barely made it by there. And we'll see. We know the 3 truck was coming. Let's see, up to speed here. Everything was kind of settled. But
able to drive on through, and even if that truck's not up to speed,
there's 3 more spots.
3 trucks. Yeah, exactly. Three disabled trucks that probably won't finish this race. 3 points he gained right there.
With that said, we'll take everyone to the race restart. Alright, this could possibly be our final restart, considering last caution was because of a blown engine and people not having time to check up. Sorlin remains your race leader. Now, Johnny Gardner, we know, is off pace, and we know the 45 of Gatlin Downey is off pace. So we see Gardner up at the front as we give you our top 10. Jones 2nd, Dylan Young 3rd, Cole Deaver 4th, Qualls is 5th, Fitzwater 6th, Phillips 7th, Keith Rich 8th, Mendez 9th, and Tony Green 10th. Looking at championship drivers, Sanford 13th, Jackson 14th, Sam Young 17th, Baranoskas 18th, Goldberg in 20th, Shelton 24th, Zach Rogers 27th. And we saw Downey there is on the inside of Fitzwater. So we'll see what kind of restart we're going to get here with 26 to go.
Nice jump there by the entire outside line to get around the traffic of Gardner and company. And look at this, opening up the door. Here comes Jones to the inside for the lead. First challenge I think Zorland's had pretty much all day.
Except for when Sam Young took that restart after our first yellow flag. Deaver made the move to the inside of Young, and now he's going to get put 3 wide by Qualls.
Qualls trying to get some momentum there, and he's also got the 39 right behind him. Zachary Fitzwater Sr., that's a driver that comes into this race, top 10 in points, trying to pick up more spots in the standings.
And Zorland's got to be like mad that he has fallen out of the top 5 for the first time all day, but a good thing for him is that he knows because of those lap trucks, there's a big gap from 9th to 10th, and then it is stringed out.
You're absolutely right. So basically it's right at the moment, 9 drivers up in this lead pack, and if we remain green to the end, it could come down between these 9 drivers. Looks like Tony Green, I couldn't tell if he was closing in on this group or not. I mean, if these guys start going side by side, maybe Green's got a shot to catch him, but to be losing a bit of momentum here for him to catch.
Well, Green ran the 3rd fastest lap of the day last time, so I definitely think he's getting draft. He's also got Almerega there a little bit behind him. They are side by side in front, so he might just catch.
Big comeback for Vince Almerega too, because he was actually down in the 30s, I think, on the last restart. Now up here in the top 15, so a nice comeback for the driver of the Haas Automation Chevy.
I believe here we'll see, trying to find who wasn't held up from those slow trucks. Sanford's still 13th. Flickinger has made it into the top 20. Goldberg is 20th now. Shelton's still 22nd. I think it's safe to say the 3 truck has some kind of damage from something, because he just can't keep up. He's going to try and pass Sekuli for 25th here.
You bring up that point, you look there and you see that actually Zach Rogers just ran his fastest lap of the race, so
30.2,
yeah.
I think that he's up the pace. It's just he keeps getting stuck behind slower traffic on restarts. See, Rowe is
the fact with him being stuck behind the slower traffic, he doesn't have any fast trucks behind him to help draft to get him up to the tail end of the lead pack cars that are up to speed.
Exactly. We see Rowe about a second, almost 2 seconds off pace. Gardner another half second off pace, and then Downey is just completely abysmally in the way as James Qualls has taken the lead away from Danny Jones, and Dylan Young is right there in second.
You know, we didn't really get to see it before when the field caught Gatlin Downey under the last green flag run. Yeah, there it is, right there. The picture says 1,000 words. They're catching that truck. He could play a factor here depending on what line he takes when the leader James Qualls catches him, which might be here on the back straightaway.
He might get lucky. It's going to be right off the corner.
They're double wide behind, heading towards turn 3 and 4, so that
Oh,
could be a
Danny Jones! Look at that hole!
Never left, finds a hole, sticks it in there. That was quite a move.
He stuck it in right in front of Danny Jones, and Sorlin is the one who's going to hurt the most.
Ow. Bad day goes worse there for Zorland. Got shuffled out from the lead. Now Sanford, another driver that's running well in points, going to get held up.
He's going to lose a ton of positions here. That truck is going 20 miles an hour slower than everyone else. 30 in some sections.
Who's smiling right now? That'd be Cole Deaver, because he's already got Zach Rogers pinned towards the rear of the field. Charles Sanford and Deaver were kind of battling for the points lead, and now Sanford losing spots. Contact right there between the 13 and the 0-2. Nice save.
Yeah, but Zach Rogers gets by, and Jackson lost, I think, a dozen spots.
Another
maybe
guy
half a
running
dozen.
well in points.
Down
So
to
there you go.
25th.
Slower traffic playing a factor.
He lost a ton of time from that. We'll go back up front. Gardner is coming up. But as we said, Deaver 3rd place. Young in 2nd. Remember, it's 4 points from 1st to 2nd, 3 from 2nd to 3rd, and 3rd to 4th, and then 2 from 4th to 5th. So right now, Deaver, Young, and Qualls are gaining a lot of points being top 3 right now.
I'll tell you what, still got to give props to Jones for that move that he made to be able to get down to the inside of Gatlin Downey, because he could have suffered the same fate as we saw Sanford and Charles Jackson losing spots. But that bold move, it may have upped the heart rate of some of these drivers, but it saved him at least for being in the top 10 for the time being.
Indeed. And how about Colin Phillips? I forget where it was. I think it might have been the Motordrome or Bristol Dirt where he was having a good run. But today, he is having a good run again, and he is 38th in the points, so they really have nothing to lose right now. They're out of championship range. More than 147 points out coming into the race today.
Truly be a Cinderella story for Phillips if he's able to capitalize and win this race. And you're right, it's I think, well, he may have been up here earlier, but we really didn't take notice of him, so it's at least the first appearance he's made up here in the top 5 for sure.
And when we want to talk about drivers who didn't run in Cup, he is the top of those drivers. Deaver, Young, and Qualls all with Cup experiences. They're going to catch Gardner in the middle of the corner, and Qualls is going to have to check up.
Wow. Gardner pinching Qualls down there, and look how that allowed Dylan Young, Cole Deaver, and Phillips all to close in.
And now Keith Rich is going to get held up. Danny Jones, Fitzwater there on the top as well. As Edwin Mendez is going to enter the top 5 because of this. Almarego,
So
McIntyre.
Yeah, Almarego and Green had actually both caught back up to this lead group, and now they're players for this win.
Everyone on the bottom is going to gain 3 positions from this. What are you doing?
Jones trying to get, oh, goodness. Oh, they're in the grass. Gracious.
How are they not wrecking? Oh. Wow. I can't believe they didn't wreck right there. This is a whole front straightaway.
Wow.
Almost thought I lost you for a second. Oh, Downey.
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
Caught
Sam
a
Young
terrible
just
shot.
ran into the back of McIntyre.
Still save it. We're still green, but that's going to really hinder the speed of the 50.
He might have got some damage from that. Downey's still in front of him, too. And Fitzwater's going to get hurt some more here. That was the craziest front straightaway I ever seen in my life.
About 4 or 5 different cars or trucks wrecking, and somehow nobody spun out.
They were in the grass. I thought it was over.
I did too.
Might turn it just about.
I thought when Rich got hooked, I thought he was coming right back up into other trucks in turn 1.
Oh yeah, their doors were pinned. I think if it was if the truck on the inside of Rich was a little 2 inches farther back, they would have gone straight down to the grass and they would have come right back up.
Here's what the crazy part of all this is. I think based off of how many times so far that 45 has been caught, I don't think that's the last time we've seen Gatlin Downey come into play up here at the front of the field.
And Colin Phillips took the lead. Cole Deaver challenging this to catch Alexander Rowe. See Mendez, Green in the top 5. Sorlin was 5th at the line. He's side by side with Almarego there behind RJ Reynolds, who is 2 laps down.
Look who's marching his way back up to the front. We saw him get shuffled out on the last restart. Jonathan Zorlan, who's probably had the fastest truck all day, he's back up into the top 5 with the aid of this slower traffic.
You see James Qualls. Now Rowe's going to be on the top 3 wide. But Cole Deaver, who has been one of the best drivers all season, him and Zach Rogers both no wins to their names this season. I'm trying to remember where it was. Deaver was close. It was North Wilkesboro. He had to pit late. He was running 2nd, and somewhere else he was doing good. I can't quite recall. But we are at 8 to go. And I think they got one more rounding of Gatlin Downey and maybe Johnny Gardner. And that'll be the fate of this race.
I think you're right. Yeah, at least once of Gatlin Downey. They might not catch Gardner. We're going to have to wait and see. And Tony Green right now giving a little bit of space to the 07, so might be trying to get a run. He's got the lap truck behind him of Reynolds, who appears to have been up to speed for the most part, so might be able to use that lap truck as momentum.
And we got to think, Downey is 6 seconds off pace. If they can catch him at 5 to go, that should be the last time they see him. If they catch
it all
him,
depends on where they catch him. If it's in the turns, that's really going to be a problem. If they can get him on a straightaway, they might be able to get through without incident.
And they're going to catch Nate Rogers, who's a 1.5 seconds off. There's Sekuli. There's Downey. He got the truck in the 4th gear finally, so he's more like 4 seconds off pace now. A battle for the lead, though. Tony Green.
Tony Green's going to take the spot away. Saw that he had lost the top 9 on the restart. Talk about a comeback. How about Andra Baranskis there, the 21? She got into a manual Hartnett under that first caution on pit road, and I thought might have some damage, and apparently that's not the case. She's up in the top 10 now. Great comeback for the 21 team.
She's going to get to the inside of Phillips there. That is for 5th. I believe she's top 15 in the points coming into this race, so this could be a very good
13th
run.
in points, or no, 14th, I'm sorry.
Besides Qualls, Young, and Deaver, we're seeing a lot of non-cup drivers up front here.
A battle for the lead. I don't know if Tony Green slipped up or if Qualls was able to turn down lower. He's going to try and take the spot. Dylan Young right behind him.
We are at 4 to go, so all those lap trucks will be caught just one more time. They were catching Nate Rogers, and he's very close in front of these guys, as is Joshua Sekuli. Could play a factor. There's the 14. Baran Oskars is coming out of nowhere here, though. Oh, she's going to make it 3 wide.
Whoa, nice move there. Might have gotten into the left rear quarter panel of Dylan Young, forced him up to the middle line. That in turn puts Tony Green way up top, and now he's got no friends with him.
He's going to be shuffled all the way back. Baran Oskars won back at Denver on a fuel strategy race, and they've got lap trucks in front of them side by side. Now they're single file because it's Downey.
Downey's going to be in the corner. This is going to be in turn 3.
Qualls slowing up. They're all slowing up. They're all stacking up.
Ooh, Reynolds into the left rear of Baranaskas.
They are 3 wide, several rows deep. I'm anticipating an accident right here.
Oh. Boy, that...
I am surprised they have not wrecked. There are 3-4 rows.
4.
And it is 2 to go, so if they wreck, we're going to look later. Actually, no, wait, they're going to go 4 wide.
4 wide. Dylan Young, 4 wide.
Cole Deaver really hurt from this. Deaver fell, I think, from like 2nd or 3rd to outside the top 10.
Look who just got by him. Charles Sanford just passed Cole Deaver.
And it's
that
James.
Could be a pass for the potential points lead. Possibly. Well, then again, you've got Qualls up here, 5th in points, leading this race, so...
And he's got RJ Reynolds behind them as they took the white flag, and I don't think anyone's going to catch James Qualls, and he isn't going to catch anyone.
No, he's not. No, about maybe 3/4 of a straightaway before you get to the 31.
He made the right move. Sorlin is going to rebound up to 3rd. But no one is going to have anything for James Qualls, who will get his first win of the season.
Great job there by Qualls. Basically, if we think about it, a bit of a non-entity in the top 10 for the first 75% of this race, but when it mattered most in that last restart, that's when he decided to be a player. And as you said, right place, right time with the slower traffic.
And that'll continue the streak of Cup Series drivers winning in the Truck Series. Mendez, who did not participate in Cup in 2018, will come close, finishing 2nd. That gives Toyota their 3rd win on the season. We got Sorlin rebounding to finish 3rd, Baran Oskars 4th, Keith Rich 5th, Isaac Flickinger 6th, Almarego 7th, Colin Phillips 8th, Danny Jones 9th, and Fitzwater 10th. So looking at the top 10, the only Cup driver names I see are Qualls, Sorlin, and Fitzwater. So the Truck Series guys here, because it's Texas, because of a lot of mayhem, they were able to get top 10 finishes today.
Absolutely. I mean, great showing by all of those guys here. As I said, Texas is almost like a 1.5 mile super speedway. A lot of times we consider super speedways the chance for the maybe less experienced drivers to rise to the top. They did that today. And I'm also looking at the fact that Qualls came into this race fifth in the point standings. You saw the struggles with Gardner. Deaver and Sanford got trapped behind lap traffic. Zach Rogers had issues all day. It's going to be close for that points lead
And the
after this race is completed and the points are tallied.
and the big thing you got to think is when Downey got caught, everyone started bunching up. Everyone started going in any lane they could find, and they were 3 wide. Deaver went all the way to the top in the top 5. Downey got pushed up there into 1 and 2, and he lost a good 15 spots down to 18th officially for Deaver. We see Dylan Young 14th, Sam Young 15th, Sanford 16th. Jackson gets 20th. Zach Rogers ended up 23rd behind Goldberg, who got 22nd. Shelton 25th. So a lot of big names in the top 10 in points who don't get a lot. So this could allow Qualls to really pull away with it, but we'll head to Pensacola next week, where Qualls won in the Cup Series in 2017. So Qualls hopefully going to do good there and survive.
What a great place to have close points heading into a super speedway track of all places.
Indeed. So that has been it for us from Texas. Seth, it was a pleasure to finally get you on here. Anyone who's watching this knows who this guy is. I mean, I don't think there's anyone bigger in the offline NR community. So it was a pleasure to have you on, Seth. Hopefully again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. And heck of a race. And glad to be able to co commentate over on this channel. Been wanting to do it for a while. So great to be in the booth here for the first time.
All right, that's going to do it again from us. James Qualls, your winner after a hectic 3-caution filled race here, where I'm surprised they did not wreck on the front straightaway.
Amen to that.
So I'll see you guys at Pensacola.